Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tea with Publicity. A glorious Tuesday here in New York City. Well, you know it's a Monday, but whatever. It'll be Tuesday or Monday at midnight, Tuesday midnight, whatever, when you're listening to this. Today is a fun episode. So, well, it's kind of like, it's fun, but it's also kind of sad and like dark and deep and twisted because obviously we're going to be talking about the Travis Scott situation within the Spill the Tea segment, which is just really, really, really unfortunate and sad and disgusting. And we will get into that. As always, I answer your Ask Alyssa questions within the advice segment. And I also have an interview with Jaci Marie. You may know her from Instagram. She also hosts her own podcast, or from TikTok, wherever you know her from. We're kind of just talking about life together. She got married at a young age. She grew up in a Mormon community. She is struggling with infertility currently, her and her husband, and we're going to talk all about that. I think it's an interesting conversation, one we haven't had on the podcast. So although I can't relate because I'm not married and I'm hopefully not struggling with infertility to my knowledge, it's something that I think it's important for all women to hear, and all women. It's really nice, honestly, to hear someone be so open about something like this. So we will get into that. I will at first right now catch you up on what I've been up to. It was the marathon this weekend in New York City. I cheered on Jill, who you guys know, who's been on the podcast, one of my very best friends. It was her second time running the marathon. I was so proud of her. Honestly, the marathon makes me just like very emotional, and I cry every year. And like, okay, not to make this about me because I know thousands of people ran 26 miles yesterday. I was exhausted. The marathon.
Shut up, Alyssa. Shut up.
The marathon really just took the life out of me. I'm not even kidding.
Oh
okay. So me and Jill's other friend, Kiki, were going to meet people at a bar to watch Jill in the marathon on 75th Street. So we're like, okay, we'll meet at 75th Street on the east side. I take the subway up, realize you can't cross to the east side because of the marathons. The roads are closed. So I had to go all the way up to 75th Street. Then we had to go walk all the way down to 57th, where you could transfer, cross the street, then walk all the way back up to 75th. So by the time I like left my apartment, I did returns that morning. By the time I walked 15,000 steps yesterday, stood on my feet all day, and then the roads were closed and we were going to have the same issue going home. So we biked from 75th Street down to the financial district.
Oh, I saw that.
So I honestly did a lot. Like at the end of the day, I was like, I'm freaking wiped out.
I have no response for you now.
No, okay. For an average person,
people are running 23 miles.
That is a lot.
No, yeah.
And more power to them. But my point is, if my feet are sore after walking 15,000 steps, I do not know how they do. I genuinely cannot comprehend it.
I can't even run 2 miles, so I'm just a little... Oh, you do have to train for it.
What do you have to train?
What do people do to train? Do you know?
Well, me and my sister were saying, like, we think that there's certain people that are... Okay, how do I articulate this? I think certain people have the right bones for running a marathon. For example, when I'm not even exaggerating, because my family like has history of like bad knees, and like my poppies had 2 knee replacements. My mom has like bone on bone, like torn meniscus. Like we just have like bad joints. So when I'm walking, like literally yesterday, my feet were throbbing from a few miles. But like genuinely. Yeah. And even in high school when I was an athlete and I ran 5 miles, 3 miles, I would be in so much pain.
Yeah.
And I asked my friend Jill all the time, I'm like, so just tell me, like, do your bones hurt when you run? And she's like, no. And I'm like, well, so like at the end of the day, like, are your feet sore? And she's like, not really. And I'm like, see, that is a blessing.
No, there's no way that like you're not sore.
But no, not that she's not sore, but my feet ache at the end of a long day. Some people don't get that aching feeling. Do you?
No, when I walk, I think I have this thing I'm literally self-diagnosing myself right now, but I think like I have this thing called plantar fasciitis.
Oh, my mom has that.
Yeah,
It's
because-
very painful.
Yeah, when I walk too much, like it starts to hurt. And when I used to play tennis in high school, I would always have the plantar fasciitis.
But that's my point. In high school, even at your prime, you felt it.
Yeah.
But,
So
like,
if I did run this marathon, I would have a raging plantar fasciitis in my foot.
That's my point. Like, some people don't deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, I really think if I trained for a marathon, dead ass, trained day in and day out, I would get like shin splints or some weird thing. Because I really don't think my bones could do it.
Yeah. Moral of the story, props to everyone who ran 23 miles.
Moral of the story, if you run a marathon, write into me and tell me if you have good bones or not. Because or aches and like, and if you are one of those people that has like bad knees and stuff, I'm more curious how you do it.
Yeah, a lot of people say you just have to push through it. Like, no.
But 26 miles, like, I think I would need a double knee
23.
replacement. No, 26.
Oh.
I would literally
worse.
need a double knee replacement. I'm not even kidding. So anyway, I was exhausted yesterday. No, but honestly, watching the marathon, it's honestly freaking incredible. And it's really inspiring. And there's just something about the energy at the marathon every year that I'm just like, this is incredible. It makes me very emotional every year.
Tasha and Zach made me emotional.
So I saw them running.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were like
so emotional. I tried to see Peter Weber and he ran past me.
Did you see? There was a video of him and like how weird he runs.
I know. I feel bad. Peter always gets bad press.
He does.
Like,
but he does make cringy TikToks.
He also posted on his Instagram, and I give him credit, he didn't train. Who doesn't train for the marathon and just runs 26 miles?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I give him credit.
No wonder he was running like a weirdo.
He did better than I could freaking do. So,
yeah.
One last thing before we get into the interview with Jaci, there was some stuff in the press about the company in which I work at, which I don't really want to get into on this podcast. I am going to be getting into it on Erica's podcast, the CEO here. It's called Token CEO. So if you guys are interested in hearing what I have to say, you can go listen to it over on Token CEO. Hopefully that will be up later this week, I think. And then also I did put some stuff on Twitter. So that's all I'll say about that. Like to keep things light here. And I did want to tell you guys about, I'm like in the very, very beginning stages of planning a live show, which I'm so excited about with the events team. I have a meeting with them today. Once I have a date and all of that, I will give it to you guys, and just so you can plan ahead, because I know some people want to take trains in, planes in, wherever you're coming from. And the one thing I will say is that I think the venue holds like under 200 people. So if you want to come, I suggest once I post the date and once I post when the tickets will be going on sale, I suggest you act rather quickly because it is a smaller audience since it is my first show. So it'll be first come, first serve, obviously. So when I do post that, just make sure you're following me on Instagram. I'll also post it on Tea with Publicity. I just want to make sure that my biggest tea tribers, my BFFs, that you guys have a chance to come and meet me. And I'm also going to talk to the events team about maybe doing something where it's like first 50 people that buy tickets get like a pass to do a meet and greet or something like that. So there's like an incentive to buy tickets and then we could hang out and whatever it may be. So we will do that. I will talk to them, like I said, today. And then hopefully by next week's episode, I will have more information for you guys. And then the last thing that I want to say is that I do have new merch out, my fall collection. It's been such a blast designing this merch. Everything's super comfortable. Everything is unisex. It is size inclusive, which is really important to me. I think our sweatsuits go up to 5XL. So things should fit mostly everybody. And we have the Take No Shit denim jackets. And I wanted to release everything now because I wanted you guys to have a chance to get it in time for the holidays or if you want to gift it to someone. So it was really important to me that we launched sooner rather than later so you guys could put it on your Christmas list or your holiday list, or you can give it to a friend, whatever it may be. So everything's always just linked to my bio. podcast description, Instagram, all of that. And yeah, let's get into the interview with Jaci. It is really important to protect yourself. There has been a lot of crime on the rise and times are kind of scary out there. I'm not going to lie. So make sure that you're protecting yourself. And I always make sure to have my taser on me. And the times that I don't have it on me, I honestly regret it. And I'm like, why don't I have my taser in my purse? Because if I did, I would feel a lot less safer right now. You can get the Taser Pulse Plus today and just save 15% at taser.com/discount/T. That's spelled TASER.com/discount/T. And honestly, again, like I said, why would you not want to protect yourself? It's so easy to just keep something on you. It charges and it just gives you that extra level of precaution or safety and just makes you feel a lot more secure, whether you're walking your dog in the dark or living in a city or on public transportation or just like I said, hiking, whatever it may be. Why not protect yourself? So just one more time, that's taser.com/discount/T. Supplies are limited and restrictions apply, so you could see the website for details. Okay, guys, I am here with Jaci Marie.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I told her, I'm like, I feel like this is the real deal. I walked in here, I'm like, I podcast from my house, so this is professional.
I have, so nothing's above or below me. I've been there. I've had, the New York City horns honking in the background.
Totally. I always think about that. That would be so. Is this room soundproof? I'm assuming. No. Okay.
Oh, and we always joke it's a sweaty room because there's always boys in it before us, and we come in and it smells like a locker room.
Oh, love that. I know. I'm like, I thought it was gonna be. I was under the impression that New York, first of all, was gonna be freezing, and also there would be fall leaves. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
And then I got here. I'm like, okay, it's kind of hot, and why am I? All I packed is sweatshirts, and I'm like, why did I not really think this through? So yeah, my wardrobe for this trip is not meshing with the vibes.
Even as someone that lives here, I'm confused. Okay. Because I wore a leather today, but then it's technically 70 out. But
it's really nice.
A fall 70 isn't a summer 70.
That's true.
It's different.
It is.
So,
it feels really good. Don't get me wrong. The weather's
nice.
Beautiful. I just packed heavy coats for some stupid reason. So anyway.
No, I get that. Also, you're probably seeing everyone on Instagram and we're all being fake about it. Everyone, the second it's kind of cold, boots are out, jackets are out.
For sure.
We're all just kind of faking it.
It's fall. The first day of fall, we're ready.
we're done. We're in it. So you just moved from LA to Orange County. Did I make that up?
No, you did not make that up.
I knew you moved, but I'm
yes.
Either I just butchered these locations or that's correct.
Nope, that's correct. Yep, we just moved. We lived in LA for, I think, almost 3 years. Our landlord kicked us out of our house because she was like, I'm selling it. Bye. You have to be out in a month. And we're like, okay. She texted me that on Christmas, which I'm like, really, girl?
Oh, that's so
I feel like that's kind of a little bit much. So she was like, yeah, showings are going to start in 2 days. I'm like, it's Christmas. I was not even in town.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I'm like, okay. So we moved out of that house into a little rental, a 6-month rental, blah, blah, blah. We had to stay in Airbnb for a little bit. And then we just decided to move to Orange County. We've actually lived in Orange County before, only for a year. But we lived in a location within the place that we didn't really love. And so now we moved to our dream location in Orange County.
Oh, that's nice.
Newport Beach area.
Amazing.
So we're just loving life. Yeah.
And when she says we, that's her and her husband.
Yes. Sorry.
Who, if you follow her on TikTok, you've seen, it's so funny because I say TikTok, but you've been on Instagram longer, but
yes.
You know how it is. It's
totally.
That's how we all kind of find each other. And you got married. I want you to tell my listeners your marriage story and how you guys met, because I find it fascinating. And also, I didn't realize how young you are.
Yeah.
Are you 25?
I'm 26.
Okay, because your website said that. And I'm like, it's probably not updated. Because I know mine's never updated.
Yes.
Okay, 26. So how old were you when you got married?
So I was barely 21.
Yeah, okay. I'm like, she had to be young.
Yes, yeah. So we've been married for over 5 years, which is crazy. And it's so funny because whenever I come to, when I lived in LA, for example, people are always shocked by that. I also think I look kind of young. Well, I think my spark's wearing off because people are starting to be like, oh yeah, 25. I'm like, okay, it used to be we thought you were 12. But anyway. So yeah, whenever I'm in LA or New York, people are like, you're already married. That's shocking to me.
Yeah, it's
but where I'm from, it's so normal. So, we met through my like family friend, like childhood friend that I went to middle school with, she married Leif, my husband, his brother. So she introduced us, and now we're sisters-in-law.
That's so fun.
Yeah, and she set us up on a blind date. She's like, you guys will love each other. And I was like, not here for it. I didn't even know what he looked like. So I went on truly a blind date. Like, I met him. I did not know anything about him because he had an Instagram. I don't know. You can never really get a feel. And this was so long ago too that I just couldn't really catch a vibe. So I felt like I was truly going into it blind. And yeah, we hit it off, and then here we are.
And then didn't you get married rather quickly?
Yes. So we met in July. We started dating in like August, got engaged in November, married in March.
So did you always think you would get married so quickly like that?
No. So like I said, it's normal where I'm from. So I'm from like a little place outside, not little, I guess it's like a city, Gilbert, Arizona. It's outside of Phoenix. And so here's the thing. I grew up Mormon. I'm still Mormon. I don't subscribe to a lot of the things. I have like a complicated relationship with that whole thing. Okay. But anyway, so I grew up in a Mormon bubble where that's so normal. Like, I was actually one of the last ones of my friends to get married. And that is kind of another thing that plays into like my, trying to have kids and like fertility journey at this point, because even sometimes when I post about like trying to get pregnant now, people are like, wait, you're only, 26. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like some of my friends have 4 kids. Yes. So you know what I mean?
Do you know, I wondered if you were Mormon, but because there are, I don't know why, like there are just a bunch of influencers that I follow on social media who got married younger and have families, and I know they're Mormon just from like people saying it, but they don't necessarily talk about it or address it. So I wasn't even sure if it's ever something like you said.
Yeah, I
say nothing to be ashamed of, though. I don't know why people make it like.
Well, I think it's a little bit like controversial maybe in today's society, because like I said, I give that caveat of like I don't subscribe to some of the things, because I think I almost say that as like a defense thing, because I think the moment you say like I'm Mormon, it's like, oh gosh, like you think of all of these things, these preconceived notions that people think of, Mormons having. And so
it's with any religion though.
Totally.
Really.
And I have like a complicated relationship with it, because I think like when I was young, I don't know, I think when I turned like 24 is when I kind of started finding myself and like knowing who I really am. And I realized that like I made all these commitments to like, I don't know, being Mormon and all these different things when I was younger and didn't really know myself. Yes. And so I've had like a complicated relationship with it the past few years, because I'm like, I love a lot of parts of it. I don't like a lot of the parts of the culture specifically surrounding it. Which makes it, like you said, it's nothing to be ashamed of, but it does give people, they just have preconceived notions about you. They put you in a box, and I'm like, I don't want to be in that box. And recently someone actually made a TikTok, a girl, have you seen the girl who like guesses people's baby names?
No.
Okay, so
I don't think I'm on baby TikTok. Okay. That's why.
Okay, so she'll like guess people that are pregnant. She's like, I think they're based off of this. I think they're gonna name my kid this. Their kid.
Wait, fun.
It's fun. So she did like a little TikTok about like Mormon influencers, and like kind of just like, okay, there's all these categories of like Mormon influencers, the chill, the like really whatever, and so I was in that TikTok, and like a lot of the comments were like, Jaci's Mormon. I had no idea Jaci's Mormon. And I'm like, I told my friend, I'm like, I kind of like it that way, because I like that you didn't like put me in a box before you got to know me, and you like me for me. That's cool. So it's not a huge part of like what I talk about at all.
It's so weird that it's like taboo, because like other people don't have to necessarily like not talk about their religions. I kind of think just in general though on social media, people aren't really necessarily talking about religion all that much, because it's kind of just like why, we all believe in different things. But my only indication was the married young thing, because I'm like everyone I know that's Mormon's married young.
That does give it away. And the only, like, if we're being blunt, it's like really the only reason for that is because you're expected to like be abstinent and not have sex before you're married. So people are like, well, we can't date for 4 years.
You know what's so funny? Yeah, I always joke, because the people I know that are waiting for marriage to have sex always get married so quickly.
Exactly, because it's like, what, we're gonna date for 5 years and not have sex? Like, it's just not realistic.
You know who I think about?
Who?
Are you a Bachelor fan?
I am, but I haven't been watching like recently.
So Ben Higgins.
Yes.
Him and his fiance, he's obviously had sex before. She's saving herself for marriage.
Okay.
I think with him, I don't know, whatever. I don't know their personal passed, if she has or hasn't, none of my business. But I was thinking the other day, because their wedding got postponed because of the pandemic, and I was thinking the other day, I'm like, they're probably like, I'm going to kill someone if we don't get married.
They're like, let's get the ball rolling.
Picture like being like, okay, we're gonna wait, but we'll have a wedding in a year, and then all of a sudden it's like 2 years. And then I don't know why I was thinking about them, and I was like, these poor people are probably like, let's get this show on the road.
For sure. Totally. And it's like, that's actually something that that's another part of it that I'm like, oh gosh, like, because I've had friends who have gotten married super young, they're already divorced. And it's like, they just got married a little too fast. Yeah. And I always say to Leif, I'm like, we're just really lucky because we've grown together.
Yeah.
You know?
Instead of apart.
And a lot of people that doesn't happen for. And so they get married super young. And like, I've just known so many people to like already be divorced within even a year or two, because it's like they get married super fast, rush it because they want to have sex, and then it's like, well, we probably weren't the best match, you know?
But like, that's probably even more frowned upon, I feel like.
Shockingly, it's not. And that's really? What's like, that's what I have a problem with, is like, well, I guess I don't have a problem with it. People can do whatever they want, but I always say, like, for my kid, I'm like, I'd rather them have sex before marriage than marry the wrong person.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I mean? But that's not a common, I think that might be an unpopular opinion. Like, people are so, like, you literally grow up, that is the worst thing you could do. Like, in people's minds.
It's so wild.
It's crazy.
Or then people probably just do it and hide it and then have all this guilt.
Oh, 100%. Like, so much shame surrounding it.
Yeah.
Ugh. It's a problem.
So, okay, so you guys got married young. You have been trying to get pregnant. I think you said in one of your TikToks that you weren't necessarily like the most careful once you got married. Yeah. And it like wasn't happening. And now I think you're at the point where you're like timing it and trying.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Seeking doctors' opinions and whatnot. Could you talk about that journey a little bit and just what you're comfortable with? I don't want you to say anything you're not.
No, I'm an open book with it. I think like, so I was never on birth control. And it's ironic because literally the reason that I didn't want, and again, do your own thing, but the reason that I was like, I don't want to get on birth control is because I'd heard like these horror stories of like, oh, it kind of affected my fertility. So I was like, I just don't want to like mess with that. Also, you know, at the time, again, a little naive, but at the time I'm like, if I get pregnant, I love you, I want to be with you. It's
I
like,
was going to say you're together.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. But that being said, like, I didn't want to get pregnant right away.
Yeah.
But we also, so I've never been on birth control. So for that's number one. It's like, okay, it could happen, you know? And we just were never super careful. Like, after probably like 2 years of marriage, we're kind of like, okay, whatever happens. Like, I'm a big believer in just like, what's supposed to happen will happen. So I'm like, if I get pregnant, to me, that's just like God's timing. Cool. I'll go with it. So we were not careful for a while. And like, honestly, after like 2 years of like not really being careful, I'm like, I'm kind of surprised I haven't just like gone pregnant. Yeah, you know?
This is like,
Yeah.
You think about it a little bit.
Yeah. So I was like, we should start like actually trying and like seeing, you know, what happens. And we tried for a few months. Then we actually went on an international trip where there's like Zika virus and you're not really supposed to like try to get pregnant, or you can't go there if you are pregnant, whatever. So after we got home, we like had to wait a little bit to try again. I was like kind of bummed because I was like, oh dang, I was like excited to just kind of.
And we're like missing out now on like a month or 2 months.
Yeah. So we waited a few more months, then we started trying again, and we basically tried for a full year. Like we tried through like the entire pandemic, and like we're timing it like very much trying. Yeah. And it just like wasn't happening. And I was like, okay, well maybe like it's been a while at this point. Like, so I think we should just go and see if everything's normal. So we went to the doctor. We found out some stuff about Leif that was like abnormal. And we don't know for sure, but we think it could have to do with the fact that he had leukemia when he was younger. And so that's, again, just, it's not for sure. But
well, that does make sense because I know before you undergo like chemo or whatever it may be, usually they make you like freeze your sperm or freeze your eggs if you're a woman, to kind of preserve them. So it makes sense if he was young and that.
So he was very young and like, but he had it for like years, and he did go through chemotherapy and stuff. And so, but the doctors had always said like, because it was before he hit puberty, it shouldn't be a problem. So we were like, oh, cool.
Oh, interesting.
But then what, like the thing that was abnormal was the morphology, which I don't know if anyone cares or knows about this specifically, but like when I had looked it up, basically it said like chemotherapy can be a reason for that, and the doctors had said like maybe that could be it still. So we don't really know.
Yeah,
it could just be a fluke. I don't know. But so anyway, that was low, and they were like, that's probably why you're not getting pregnant, because there's like 3 things within the sperm, whatever. Again, people probably don't care about these details, but that could be it. And we're like, okay. So we started doing some fertility treatments, and I haven't like fully, basically we did 3 rounds of like this, not super intense, but like, you know, kind of the first step that you take.
Yeah.
And they didn't work. And so we're like, okay, so now we have to do potentially like the more invasive option. We haven't started yet. I was just like so mentally drained. I'm like, I just need a second to like not do that stuff right now. So we're taking like a few months of a break of just not doing anything. It's been honestly super nice, because I haven't really been like just stressed about it, and I'm like, I need to just like chill about it. But at the same time, it's been a weird experience, because I do feel like I'm young, and so people always be like, oh, you have plenty of time,
it's fine.
Like it's fine. And I'm like, I totally understand that, but it's just, I guess it doesn't go along with like what my life plan was, and so it's hard for me to like wrap my brain around. I just have no idea when I'll get pregnant or if I ever will. So it's like just this kind of daunting thing where I've always been so excited to have a family, and like we wanted to have like 3 or 4 kids, so we wanted to kind of space them out a certain way, and now I'm like, it's just not up to me anymore, you know? It's just like,
it's like not in your control.
Totally.
Well, I think that's really what anxiety is, like a lack of control.
Totally.
And I could totally relate to that. I'm 30 and I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have kids. And like, of course it weighs on me.
Right.
And I think I'm at the point where I have friends, or my sister's 3 years older than me, so people that are her age now going through freezing their eggs or having issues with fertility or looking into things. So I'm even learning so much more just from the people around me. And like, I had a fertility specialist on my podcast a few like months ago, and honestly, knowledge is power. Like, we don't even know these things.
No, we don't know. And that's something also that like going through this experience, it's taught me so much about my body, my cycle. I'm like, I didn't even know any of this stuff. And it also has taught me like what a miracle pregnancy is. I'm like, I don't know how people just get pregnant on a whim or on a one night stand. I'm like, that is wild. The stars are literally aligning for you, because it's not super easy for a lot of people.
I feel the exact same way. My perception has changed so much. I'm like, I get why they call it like the miracle of life. Obviously, you get that as a person, but until you're learning what it actually takes to carry a baby and then to make the sperm meet the egg and make the embryo and all this, you're like, holy shit. Wait, okay.
There's so much
I'm going to either blow your mind, or you're going to be like, Alyssa, you're dumb as hell.
Okay.
So I just found out for the first time, I'm absolutely floored by this, that when you breastfeed, I thought, you have the nipple. And
I know exactly what you're going to say, because I saw it on TikTok.
Oh, really?
And I was beyond words.
Okay, wait. The nipple and then the areola.
Yes.
I thought that the milk came out of just the pointy part, the areola. Do you know, I guess now, that the milk comes out of the entire nipple?
I was shook beyond words. So my best friend is pregnant right now, and she sent it to me. She's like, I was today years old when I learned this. She's like 8 months pregnant or 7 months pregnant.
I'm so happy I'm not the only one.
I had no idea.
I'm shook to my core. I found this out 3 days ago because Ebony at my office okay, this is wild. Talk about miracle and like crazy. She had sex for the first time when she was 16, got pregnant the first time. Oh my God. Can you imagine that? The first time you ever had sex. And she was telling me, she was like, oh yeah, milk comes out of the whole like nipple. And I'm like, what?
I had no idea until my friend sent me that TikTok and told me. I had not a clue.
I'm floored. So then I text my sister, who's 3 years older than me, and I asked her, and she's like, what?
No, I don't think anyone knows this information.
Wait, so then I texted my group chat. Of course, I'm telling you.
You're like, fun fact of the day.
I'm like, and then I called my grandma. I'm kidding. So then I texted my group chat, and I was like, you guys, did you know XYZ? And basically, my friend made such a good point. She was like, it's really sad, like, how much we don't know about our own bodies.
100%.
Like, that's crazy.
It's crazy. And even just, like, with my period and stuff, like, I've been going to an acupuncturist, and she'll be like, so, like, during this part of your cycle, da-da-da. And I'm like, I did not know that. Like,
there's literally, like, cycle syncing. Like, you can eat certain foods during certain times of the month.
Like, when you're menstruating, like, you should just take it easier. Like, do lower intensity workouts. I'm like, I've been freaking at the gym pumping iron. Like, I should not have been, you know what I mean? It's just like, there's so much we don't know. And yeah, I've learned so much. If anything else, it's been such a learning experience just for so many reasons. Because I just learned so much.
It also just makes me feel like, what the hell did we learn in school? Like, I'm so confused where like the information, I've been having this running joke that I think I could benefit from going back to elementary school.
Literally. Oh, I feel the same way.
Like I need to learn the fundamentals all over again.
Same.
Like history 101, like
Times tables, everything.
times
Give it to
tables.
me.
Yes, like I need the basics, not the big picture stuff. And I'm like, where did all of this information go? Or was I just never taught it? Because there's so much now that I'm like, what
I feel
happened?
the same way. I feel the same way.
We were led astray.
Totally. It's like we need to learn the important things in life here. Yeah.
So what does your husband think about you sharing this with the world? Also, like, not to go back there, but like, what does like the community even think about you sharing your life? Like, is it frowned upon to be so open?
When you say community, you mean
Like the Mormon community,
okay.
or just like where you come from, like your family, like just people. I know for me, I'm like from a traditional Italian family, and my parents don't like me saying certain things. I kind of just do it.
Yeah.
But
I feel like I kind of just do it as well.
Same.
I don't think it's necessarily looked down upon in the community to like share this. I honestly, like, what makes me more. So, like, I remember when we'd been married this is what I'm saying, where it's so normal to have kids young. And, like, if you're not, it's kind of like, oh, what's going on? Like, and I remember, like, 3 years into our marriage, or maybe even 4, like, I heard, like, whisperings, like, around, like, I would hear, like, rumors about myself in my hometown being, like, they don't want kids. Like, they just, like, care so much about themselves and social media and traveling. Like, they're whatever. And I'm like, and I would always say, I'm like, what if I had, like, gone through a miscarriage? And you guys were saying that? Like, stop saying that. And then, of course, I'm like, the irony is now it takes me years to get pregnant. And so sharing it, I think, has, like, been good to just be like, don't ask people if they're pregnant, when they're having kids. If they want kids, it's none of your business. Like, unless they share it openly, stop talking about it. Like, and that's been something, even, you know, when I even hope, I'm like, I hope those people who are saying that about me, like, are like, oh.
Like,
you
see
know?
my videos.
Yeah,
like,
see my
oh,
videos,
shit.
and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
And I hope it, like, you know, makes them realize, like, oh, I didn't know that. So I should not judge, you know, her based off of whatever, the content. So, yeah, I think it's fine to share. Like, I haven't gotten any, like, flack for it. Maybe people say stuff behind my back. Who knows? Probably.
Who doesn't?
You know?
Yeah. Who doesn't say stuff behind each other? It's like everyone just has something to say about everything.
Totally.
No, I do agree with that. Like I said, I have friends now that are in the process of, like, either, like, maybe they've mentioned, oh, we're going to start trying at the end of the summer or in the fall. And now that we're here, I'm like, I don't ask them anything because I'm like, it's not my business. And when they have something to share or tell me, they will.
Yeah.
And I never want to put someone on the spot where I'm like, hey, like, so are you pregnant?
Right.
Like, that's so invasive.
It's so invasive.
And uncomfortable.
It is. It's like, and I really never understood, like, the gravity of it, I think, until I started, like, going through it. And I realized to never ask people that question, even if they're, like, going through fertility treatments. And even now I'm like, I have to protect myself a little bit and not share things, like, in real time, because then I have people literally messaging me, did it work, are you pregnant? And I'm like, now you're stressing me out.
Oh my God, that's so
you know what I mean? So I've learned that as well. Like, I love to be open about it, because I really do hope at the end of the day that it, like, helps someone or makes someone feel less alone. That is the only reason I'd want to share it, because it's not a glamorous, cool part of my life at all. But I have gotten so many messages from girls being like, thank you so much. Like, I have been struggling with this for the past year, and, like, I haven't opened up to any of my friends or family about it. So, like, seeing your posts, like, makes me feel less alone. I'm like, that helps me to feel like, okay, I am, you know, maybe making somewhat of a difference by sharing this. But like I said, I do have to also protect myself and not go overboard or share, like I said, in real time, where it's like, okay, just went in 2 weeks, we'll find out. It's like, then people are like, did it work? And I'm like, I can't deal with that.
Yeah, that
right
is
now.
actually the smartest boundary you could set for yourself. I really stand by that, because I didn't even think about that, but it's so true. Like, even for me, if I'm like, hey, I'm going on a date, then the next night it's like, how'd it go? And if I'm not raving about it, they know it was bad.
Totally.
And it's obvious. And then if the person sees my social media, it's uncomfortable. So maybe I'll have to put that into implement that as well.
It's like, don't post about it until the next night. If it went well, then you can be like, it was great.
Yeah,
you know?
it's too much.
It is.
So you're big into, I think, reading, right? I listened to your podcast once and you were talking about reading and also, like, self-help and self-care and all of these things. I like to get people's, like, tips and tricks and what works for them. So one thing that I'm notoriously known for is the fact that I don't have a routine, which is
Love
savage.
that for you. That is savage.
I've never really met many people like me in the sense that like I wake up and I don't do one thing the same every day. Like,
okay, I love that though.
I don't brush my teeth in the same order that I wash my face. I don't eat like I'm just out of control, and I don't know how I live this way. But like, are you a regimented person? And if so, what is your morning routine, and like how do you start your day?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. I feel like I switch things up a lot. Like I haven't had the same morning routine for years or anything like that.
Okay, so that's more nimble than most. Yeah. Some people are like,
this is it.
Military. Yeah.
No, I kind of can't do that, or else I start almost like I'm very much I don't like to say this. I don't like to put myself in a box, but I've always been like a perfectionist. And sometimes I feel like if I have such a specific routine, I start getting very, like if I don't do something perfectly, then I'm like, oh, my day's ruined. So that makes me need to just be a little more calm about, like, I'm just like, okay, I have to switch things up so that it doesn't get so regimented to where if I miss one thing, it just throws me off for a loop. But that being said, the few things that I feel like are notable, one thing, so when we moved to Orange County, I was like, okay, no more phone in my bed, period.
Wow.
In the morning. I do it at night. TikTok, I do scroll at night. Because it's been a habit I've been trying to like build, but it is such a habit that I grab my phone in the morning. It literally is what wakes me up. So totally an addiction. And I read this thing that was like, when you move to a new place is a great time to set new habits because you don't have any triggers in that environment yet where it's like, oh, I wake up and I get on my phone.
I totally agree with that. Whenever I move, because in New York I move apartments so freaking often that I'm always like, start something new when I move. I'm like, this is the best time to start fresh.
So that was one of the things that I was like, that was almost like the main thing that I was like, I'm going to start this in this new house. And I've been really, really good at it. We've lived there for a few months and I've gotten on my phone once, I think, the whole time. So and it's like it was only on a weekend. So basically I wake up, my alarm goes off and I just get out of bed, which is like.
So you set a physical alarm.
I actually set it on my phone, but I just like push it and I don't even look at my phone. And then I just get out of bed. Yeah, I need to get an actual alarm clock. Have you heard of the Hatch?
Yes.
Okay, I heard people like, I haven't really looked into it too much.
I want one of those. Yeah, I saw someone the other day. I think it was from a child's like room, which is so funny. But it's a cloud alarm clock, and it wakes up and it like lights the room.
Yes,
and
like
I'm
the
like,
sun.
Yes, I'm like, that is the cutest thing ever. This is my issue because I'm not regimented. Yeah, I'll buy it. I'll never plug it in. Right. And I'm never going to use it. So I just know myself. Yeah. I'm like, nah.
Exactly. And you have to know yourself. That's the thing. So anyway, that's like the main thing though that I've really stuck to in the mornings is no phone, because I do feel like with just my life and my job being on social media, I need like literally 10 minutes to myself in the morning. That's the only, and I know a lot of people aren't, I guess, affected by social media maybe as much. I feel like it affects me so much. It affects my mood so much. And I know that's on me. But especially if I'm in kind of a bad mood and I get on social media, I just start comparing myself to other people. And I just start getting like so just bugged by literally everything that I have to know myself and just be like, I need my time in the morning to just
That's great that you know that.
So, yeah, it's been a recent discovery. So that's the main thing. I usually go on a walk in the morning.
I was going to say, what do you do, though, in those 10 minutes? Like, pee, brush your teeth, make coffee, like what?
Pee, brush my teeth. It's not every day, but me and my husband and my dog, like, we go on a walk. That's usually nice. In the neighborhood, because we really like our neighborhood. The weather has been amazing. So that's been something. And then I'll get home and then I'll check my phone. And at that point, it's been like, 30, 45 minutes, which is really nice. Sometimes I do check it before, like if I have notifications, but I don't really scroll on social media until like after I get home and even like make my breakfast.
Do you know, I feel like I can't implement something like this until I'm in a relationship. And I know that's me like putting my faith into someone else, but if I went for a walk in New York City without a phone, I couldn't.
No, it's so true. I actually always think about that. I'm like, if I didn't have Leaf, like, I don't know if I would be able to just, like, not be on my phone in the morning, not be on my phone. And I'd be, like, scared.
That's what I'm saying.
Totally.
Like, people that are, like, just sleep with your phone in a different room. I'm like, no, never.
Oh, my gosh. If I lived alone, never. I would never do that.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be like, I need a man, because, like, I don't. But I'm saying.
But I do.
Yeah, to go on a walk in New York City without my phone, like, hell no.
It's an absolute no for me. No, I
even though I feel safe, it's more just like, what if I, like, leave my keys home and then I'm locked out of my building? Right. And it's just too much.
I completely agree. I don't blame you at all. You don't need to implement that one.
Yeah.
But that's been the main thing. Other than that, I don't really have, like, a super strict... I'm super into skincare, so I've been like, I do my full skincare routine.
You know what's so weird? But like, the less I do for my skin, the better it is.
Really?
So then I'm like, screw all these products.
I feel that sometimes.
Yeah, this is what I mean when I say I'm fickle, though. Like, sometimes I'll have, like, a 10-step routine.
Yes.
And then other times I'm
You're just like, bye.
I just use, like, a Neutrogena makeup wipe, which is, like, the worst thing ever.
Literally
and then,
dries your skin out.
And then literally just go to bed. Like, I'm so savage.
You know, that's great for you. And if you can do that and feel, like, no guilt or shame, I envy you. I think that's amazing because, again, a lot of the routines that I set for myself, I feel like this pressure, like I have to stick to it or else I am a stupid idiot.
I went to a psychic like last year around this time, and he actually said to me, he's like, do you keep a lot of lists? And I'm like, yes, because I always have a list in my phone of things I need to do. And he's like, stop. And I'm like, why? And he's like, they're stressing you out more because you're almost setting yourself up for failure.
Because there's like too many things on the list.
Because like you're almost like setting things you know you're not going to accomplish all of them in one day. And then you beat yourself up over like, I didn't get to this. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And he's like, you're literally punishing yourself for not accomplishing everything on your list.
Oh my gosh, I feel that. I am such a list person. Like, oh my gosh, I recently set up, well, Leif did it for me actually, like a widget on my home screen of like the reminders app.
Oh yeah.
I usually use the notes app. Honestly, I've tried so many little like to-do apps and just like none of them are cutting it for me. I use the notes app. Yeah, same. But I just started using this other thing on my home screen. I am like a notes, like, oh my gosh. If I don't have my to-do list, I'm like, what is life? I can't even,
I'm done. I can't accomplish anything.
But that's so true. It's like sometimes I'll legitimately put like 20 things on the list and then I'm like, oh, I didn't get enough done when really I did like 15 of them. So
I'm so savage that I'll have a long list and then I'll put in bold the things I think I'll actually do that day.
Yeah. You're like, I know myself.
I'm like, these 5 I'll maybe get to, and the rest, like, I just know aren't going to happen today. But it's more just like my running a list of things that I need to do like that week or month.
And you don't want to forget. That's the thing for me. I feel like I have to put them on the notes or else like I'm going to forget and it's not going to get done. That's what I do.
I know I'll forget.
Yeah.
Like, I am that person that if I don't write something down, it just escapes me.
Same.
Like, I really have to put pen to paper. But sometimes it's not always super urgent. It's more just like,
a thought.
Okay, within the next few weeks, this is something that, like, needs to get done. So let me just write it down.
Totally. I feel the same way.
So what do you do for, like, your mental health or... like, do you journal? Do you talk to a therapist? Do you, like, is there anything that you do to kind of just, like, unplug, like get rid of the outside chatter and just, like, center yourself?
I feel like reading is a big thing for me that, like, really calms me down because I can't be on my phone. You know, it's like, it's one of those things you can't really multitask while doing it. I'm very much a multitasker. Like, whenever I am... getting ready for the day, I'm listening to a podcast. Like when I'm walking somewhere, I'm listening to it. Like I mostly podcasts, which I think are great. And obviously because I podcast myself and I just love it so much. But reading is like one of the only times I'm like still and just like doing something that I'm, you know, kind of getting lost in a book. I would say the 2 things for me are reading and working out. Working out, I've realized, is just so good for my mental health. Even I almost do it more so for that reason than even physical because again, it's something that I'm very present for. I'm not on my phone. I'm focusing on moving my body, and it's been really important for me.
That's true. It's like an hour interrupted.
And like people always say it's really hard to be like simultaneously depressed and like working out because
interesting.
You know,
that's
you
so
can't,
true.
when your body's like in motion like that, it is hard to be like super anxious because you're just moving. So that has been really good for me. I think those are the 2 things I do to like decompress and like get my mind off of things. But I also really do, like I said, I set boundaries with my phone. If I feel like I'm old enough now and mature enough to now, if I'm on social media, I catch myself like, oh, dang, like see something that I'm like, oh, again, I'm just such an overachiever, always have been, that when I see something that someone else is doing, I'm like, oh, I should do that too. Like I should add that to my plate. And then I start getting stressed. I just have gotten to a place where I realize that and I get off my phone immediately. Like if I start feeling that way and I'm realizing it, I will log off of Instagram and put my phone like down on the couch and I will go in a different room because I'm like, I'm clearly not in a good headspace if I'm feeling like that and comparing and I don't need to do that. So
my friend does this thing which I find is really interesting. Like some people make Finstas to stalk. She has a Finsta that's a feel-good account.
Ooh.
And it's people that she follows that are like in the meditation space or that are just really positive influences and people that make her feel really good. And she's like, whenever I want to scroll, I'll go there.
That's a really good idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
Yes.
And it's just like accounts that have like positivity and the kind of content that you feel good consuming.
Right.
And I think that's such a different way to use like a Finsta account.
That's such a great idea because I mean, honestly, it's weird. Like TikTok doesn't always make me feel like, I feel like Instagram out of all of them makes me feel the worst.
Same. Because
I don't know
TikTok,
why.
no one's like the other.
No, TikTok is just fun.
Like it's just people in their house doing absurd shit.
Exactly. Like I feel that's why I think I've gravitated so much more towards TikTok, because maybe it's because it's newer, so it's more exciting. I don't know. But yeah, I feel that. I just feel like it's fun. It's lighthearted. I get on Instagram. Yeah. I get on Instagram and I'm like, you know, oh, maybe I should be doing that. Like, oh, I love that photo shoot. I need to do something, you know, more creative. I don't know. I just start getting in my head, and I know it all has to do with me. It's not
but you know what's funny? Like, you're in the social media space and you feel this way, but so many people that aren't in the social media space feel this way, that are just regular consumers of content. They look at people like us maybe who are posting every day or looking like we're doing lavish things. And I know, especially back to pregnancy a little bit, I have friends who like look at other children's milestones in comparison to their child's milestones, or how come that baby's walking and my baby's not walking? How come that mom lost weight and I didn't lose weight? And I feel like social media's created such like this comparison culture.
100%.
The one thing that I do, which is like really weird and probably not great for the people I follow because I don't like their photos, but I don't actually okay.
You don't scroll, really?
My Instagram is my business to me. I look at my insights, I look at my analytics, and I interact with my followers in DMs. I don't look at my feed. I don't scroll on my feed. I see maybe the first like 3 pictures that come up, and then I look at like the first 10 stories. I would say I look at stories way more often.
I agree.
Than I look at feed posts. And to me, it's like, I always make the comparison. It's like opening your email on a weekend. Who wants to open their email on a weekend? No. To me, opening my Instagram is opening my email on a weekend.
It is. It's like bombarding you with stuff that you didn't ask for. Like, I think we were just not designed to consume this much content every single day, see what thousands of people are up to every single day. It makes it like, of course, comparison has always been in the picture, you know, whether back in the day, whether it's magazines, TV show, but now I feel like it's so much more personal because it's like your peers and it's thousands of people every day. It's like, especially if you're having a bad day and then you go on and there's 1,000 people living their best lives, it just makes you feel worse because you're like, oh.
And also I find myself doing, and this is like really bad, but I find myself doing the how did they afford that game?
Oh. Who doesn't? I feel like that is classic. We always talk about that.
Oh my God. Like, I'll look at someone that's like traveling with like Louis Vuitton luggage.
And you're like, how?
And I'll be like, well, I know what they do for a living and how do they afford it? Because in your head, you're like, I'm working so hard and I don't have these things.
Oh, we just talked about this in a recent podcast on our podcast about money, because it was literally called How Does She Afford That?
See, that's so funny because I've never hear anyone else vocalize this.
Oh, no, I was saying like, I'll see, you know, influencer friends of mine. Again, it's like, you know, it's like, okay, I know about how much money they have to make because like we have the same job. So it's like, I have a baseline understanding of it. And they just bought a $2 million house. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Wait, this is literally what hangs me up the most, because I don't really compare myself to people in the sense of like looks or style, because I'm just like, feel like I'm individual. I do what I want.
Yeah.
I compare monetary value. I'm like, how the hell are you walking around with that $20,000 Birkin when I know what you make, even though I don't really know? Because the thing that goes into it is, do they come from money?
Exactly.
Do they have investments?
There is always something in the back that you don't know about.
Is it fake?
Exactly.
Is it from
or
Alibaba?
Do they rent it? Right. There's so much that goes on behind it. Like there have been so many times where even like, yeah, I'll see like a young couple buy this like $2 million house and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm being late for like, how did they do that? Like, we know that they, you know, whatever. And then we hear through the grapevine, it's like, oh yeah, their parents like bought half of it. And I'm like, oh, like, you know, you just hear stuff. And not that like some people don't make a lot of money and work hard for it. I think it's amazing.
Oh, of course.
But you just don't ever know the full picture. So it's not worth being like, how did they do that? I feel the same way. It's like, I don't actually really compare my looks, my body, or anything like that. I compare like my work ethic, people's businesses, and like you said, like money. Like,
well,
I'm
because
like, how did they
work
get that?
equals money.
Exactly.
So it's like, I'm not working hard enough because I can't afford what you could afford.
Oh, I totally feel that.
I feel like it's not talked about enough because it's kind of taboo. Because listen, like, I think there's a big difference between jealousy and envy. Jealousy is, I don't want you to have that because I can't.
Exactly.
Envy is, I'm so happy for you that you have that, but I'm envious because I want it too.
Totally.
So I always say I'm really not a jealous person. Like, I think if you have something, and even if you didn't work for it, like let's say your parents are just loaded, and
Right.
I'm like, you
go,
go, girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am so envious of
Yes.
that. Like, I wish I had that, but I'm not like, I wish you didn't.
Exactly. I think that's really healthy, because I think that's where it gets unhealthy, is when it's like you have that scarcity mindset where you think there's only so many resources that can go around, so someone else's success takes away from yours, when in fact it does not at all. Anyone else being successful, having money, it does not have anything to do with you. I think that's important.
Very important. And also, it's like there is room for everyone. And like, if one woman in the industry is winning, it's a step for all of us. Because it's like, if you get that job, maybe I can get a job like that one day, and you're paving the way.
More people need to have that mindset, because I actually thought about this the other day. This is like, you know, this is an interesting example, but I was linking a Barefoot Dreams blanket, which like is
So
just
comfy.
super soft blanket. The Kardashians have like famously used them. So I was thinking about this, because I don't like affiliate links, or like reward style isn't a huge part of my income, but it's like a part of it. You know, like sometimes I post links, but it's not, I wouldn't say I'm like a fashion blogger where that's what I rely on by any means. But I linked these blankets because they were on sale. And I had said, like, they're so good, like the Kardashians use them, blah, blah, blah. And I sold like way more than normal. Like I was like, wow, that was one of the biggest like commissions I've ever gotten from linking an item. And I was thinking, I wonder if because I said the Kardashians use them, a lot of people bought them, in which case that exact theory that you just said is true. Because the Kardashians, those women are successful. Now, not that I'm like writing off their success, but it's like, oh, they use them and now I make more money. It's like, it's just interesting.
It's a great example, because it is so true. And it's like, I think that if we all help each other, I hate when people are like super competitive within any industry, because it's like, we are on the same team.
Yes.
Like, let's use each other to collaborate, to merge our audiences.
The more you collaborate, the bigger you're going to get and the more success you're going to have.
But people don't have that mentality. Like, there's a lot of people that just want. And I think for me, I'm a believer in karma, in the sense that, not like super, but just kind of like, what you put out there will return to you. And 100%. If you treat people well in business, no matter what industry you're in, you never know when you're going to cross paths with that person again. And if they like you, then maybe they'll put you up for the promotion or introduce you to someone. And like, it's just about being positive and being happy for other people and being supportive. And yeah, like I said, you could be envious all you want, but there's a difference.
There is a difference. I think what you're describing is literally like scarcity versus abundance mindset. Abundance mindset says like, I am so happy for you and your success, and it shows you what you're capable of, like you said, versus being like, oh, there's only so much that can go around. Like, if you're successful, well, great. What does that mean for me?
It's funny, because I've always said, when I look at like Instagrams of women that are thinner than me or have more than me, instead of looking at it as like, oh, that girl's so thin, I'm like, wow, she's an example of someone I want to be. Like, I always look at things through the mindset of like, that's such a great example for me. And my therapist actually always says, like, she's like, the people in your life are the greatest teachers. So like, even the people, like, let's say you have issues with your mom or your sibling or your like in-laws, whoever it may be, and they're acting a way that isn't favorable, and you're like, oh, this just isn't, I never want to be this way. She's like, that's your greatest teacher.
For sure.
Because you don't want to be that way, so you're learning from them. So I think it's basically what we're both saying is like, it's how you just spin your mindset when you're looking at things.
Definitely. That's everything. Like, perspective is everything. And even, going through this whole fertility thing too, it's like, when I can really, I have my bad days where I'm just like annoyed, but at the same time, I have days where I'm like, I'm learning so much through this process, and it's teaching me to be a much stronger person, and also a much more not trying to control my life as much, which I have always been like, so it has to be my way. I want to do this. I'm very driven. I want it to be, if I want it to happen, it'll happen. This was like one of the only things in life where I was like, I want it to happen. It's not happening. Like, it's always like A and B and you get C. Okay, why isn't this happening? Like, I'm working for it. I'm doing it. It's not happening. So it's taught me so much. I'm like, oh, sometimes life doesn't go your way. And that's actually okay. And like, I'm still here. I'm still kicking it. And I've learned so much. And I think it's been really good. In hindsight, I think everyone can kind of say that about their trials. It's like, it teaches you so much and it makes you who you're supposed to be. So I feel like I'm learning that. for
I
sure.
love that. Could you leave us with, are there any like book recommendations that are must reads?
Oh my gosh, I haven't like read self-help books much recently.
Or just anything,
anything
that's a good read that you're like, you need to sink your teeth into this.
Okay, I feel like a good one as far as self-help and like getting you motivated is The Compound Effect. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
I honestly forgot who wrote it. Sorry, but
That's okay. The Compound
Effect. I remember after reading that, I was like, wow, it's just talking about how little things compound over time and like just, keep plugging away. Basically, it's very motivating. I love Ed Milet. I took a break, so I have to be in like the right mood. I don't know if you listen to him at all. He's very inspirational, very motivational. If you're like wanting to get your shiz together, yes, I'm a Mormon who says shiz. He is awesome. He is so like, I listen to his podcast and I'm like, what business am I starting? Let's go. Let's get it together. Like, so I love him as well. But honestly, I read a lot of just like novels, like
me too.
Fiction just for fun. I'm trying to think of like a good recommendation. Honestly, can't think of one.
I am currently reading, and I've been reading for so long because my Kindle died and I need to charge it. But
oh no,
The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
It's so good.
I really am enjoying it, and I don't know what's taking me so long to get through it. My Kindle died, and now I can't find it.
No,
it's somewhere in my apartment, but like I don't know where it went.
It took me. I just read this book. It's called I Found You. It took me literally 2 months because I just like will read a few pages here and there, and then I'd forget, and I'm like,
fall asleep. Like I'll read it in bed sometimes, and then I'm like,
yeah, I didn't even know. I'm like, what even happened? I'd read 80 pages. I'm like, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I got to start over.
I have to literally start from like. So anyway, it took me a long time, but yeah, that's a great one. I'm starting Before We Were Strangers. Have you ever read that?
Loved it.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm literally starting it today.
And then I fell in love with that author, and now I'm reading all her books.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know.
I just really liked the way she depicted love.
Okay.
Like, I can't explain it. Like, a lot of authors write about love, and like you feel it, and you're rooting for the characters. But I felt what she was describing, if that makes sense.
I'm excited.
Like, I felt like she wrote it in a way that I'm like, oh, I know those feelings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to read that one. I just bought it on my Kindle, so I'm gonna like start reading it probably tonight. Yeah.
Oh my God, amazing. Well, and where can everyone follow you and stay up to date, listen to the podcast?
Yes. So my podcast is called What We Said. It's with my best friend, Chelsea. We do a lot of fun, like, listener write-ins and stuff. It's a blast. It's, like, my favorite thing I do. My TikTok and my Instagram are the same. It's just at Jaci Marie Smith, and you can also find me on YouTube at Jaci Marie, too.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, before I get into the Ask Alyssa segment, which will be juicy this week, per usual, I wanted to tell you guys about Reef. You've heard me talk about them the last few weeks. I have been a big fan of Reef forever, especially having a beach house and growing up in like a shore town. But I've been using them actually now that it's fall because they sent me these really cute sandals that have like this fluffy, comfy straps, and they are perfect while we're like in this transitional weather time, especially for those of you that live in warmer climates. Their most popular style is now offered with soft, very cozy straps just in time for fall, which are the ones that I wear and the ones that I love, and probably the ones you've seen on my TikTok. And they just make styles that are cute, they're sustainable, they're comfortable. It's the perfect gift for yourself, for your friends, for your family, especially now with the holidays coming up. And you could receive 20% off your first purchase at www.reef.com/publicity by using code publicity. So I hope you guys use my code. I hope you gift someone some comfy reefs this holiday season. Now let's get into Ask Alyssa. Okay, guys, our first question. Ask Alyssa. Okay, first of all, I love you, and you are truly such a breath of fresh air to my day. Oh, thank you so much. I need advice, and bear with me, this is long. I also want to point out I have such an anxious attachment style in relationships, and I've been dating my boyfriend now for over 2 years. I trust him with my whole heart. We live together, we are each other's best friend, and truly make each other better people. But this is in regards to social media, Instagram to be specific. Before me and him dated, he talked to a girl, let's call her Lauren. He never met her and never hung out with her. And while they were talking, she secretly had a boyfriend, and he ended things with her when he found out. A few days ago, she tried following me on Instagram. Wow. And I thought it was super weird. He gave me the background on her, and I felt better. I denied the request initially and moved on. She tried following me again later, and now I'm super inclined to accept to see if she has anything to say. I don't want to disrespect him, and I really do trust him. Do we think this is a girl wanting to stalk me or a girl who wants to stir up drama? I don't know what to do, and I feel stuck in looking after myself if she does, and honoring the man I'm with by showing him that she's irrelevant. Thank you. Love you. Oh, man. I get your dilemma, but what if she's trying to DM you to be like, hey, girl, just wanted to let you know your boyfriend's been talking to me for the last year.
Well, can't you DM someone without
following them? I know.
If she really has something to say, she'll DM without the follow.
That's what I was
thinking.
thinking.
I think she's trying to stalk.
But like
That's my
my
gut
red flag
instinct.
goes to like, what does she want to say?
I don't think I honestly, if he's actually like a loyal guy, like I don't think she has to say anything. I think she might not be over him, and maybe she's jealous of the relationship, wants to see what you look
But
like.
like, why
wants to
wouldn't
stalk
she
you.
just make a Finsta? Like, it's so awkward that she's coming in with her real ass
She
account.
wants to make a statement. I don't know. She seems crazy.
I don't know. It would make me feel like something's fishy that I'm missing. Although I
would.
understand you trust your boyfriend, and like I will take your word he's a good man. But like something to me feels very uncomfortable here.
The fact that she did it twice makes me uncomfortable.
Yes, it makes me feel like, why, if you've been dating 2 years, why is she still interested in him? And why is she looking into you?
I don't know. Girls get crazy sometimes.
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't have a good gut feeling. I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry.
My gut feeling is that she's a freak. No offense to her.
I think, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
They already have like a crazy backstory. She's not loyal. She's a little sketchy. What if she's going through a breakup now and then she's started, because if she was
But why is she following the girlfriend then?
maybe she's psycho, and maybe I don't know, this could be like me thinking completely out of the box here, but maybe she's psycho and she
Wants to like compare herself.
or she wants her to bring it up to him so that he thinks about her again. Like, I don't know.
Guys, I don't know. I feel weird. It makes me feel, okay, I'm not going to say her boyfriend's necessarily doing anything, but I feel uncomfortable about it for a few reasons. Like, if she wanted to just see what you looked like and you already denied her request, she could just make a fake account and try to see you. Like,
That's effort, though.
what normal stalkers
She
do.
probably just doesn't care. She probably doesn't care.
But that's savage.
Yeah, she seems like whatever happened with her and him before, she seems like she's a psycho.
I think my gut is don't accept her and don't reject it. Keep her in perpetuity. Like, keep her just like in the middle.
And
if she wants to reach out and say something to you,
she will. She doesn't need to follow you.
But also ask your boyfriend, like, hey, is there a reason, like, has she reached out to you recently? Like, why is this coming up again?
Yeah, that's good.
Because that's what I'm confused about.
Yeah.
And be like, has she messaged you? I trust you, but I don't trust her. Like, what is she doing here? Something's uncomfortable for me. I don't like it.
Something's uncomfortable for me with her. I just want to put that out there because it doesn't seem like a reason to be suspicious of your boyfriend. But if she does have something to say, then definitely listen. I don't know.
Unless this girl has her settings set to only people could DM her if they follow her or
Is that
something.
a thing?
I don't know. I think you could manage like your settings.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I'm usually like not a skeptic, but something feels a little weird to me.
Well, I'm glad we're both like on opposite sides of the spectrum because
I could totally be wrong, but like
I could be wrong too. So maybe just be like, bitch, if you got something to say it now.
I don't
But what happens if she lets her follow her? Like, what's the big deal? She doesn't have to follow back.
Yeah. I guess she just doesn't want her looking at her stuff. It's like, leave me alone. Yeah,
maybe just leave it.
Or just leave her hanging in
and
between.
Ask him about it. Because if you really trust him, then there's nothing to
That's what
worry
I
about.
think. Sorry, I just bit into a piece of ice if you guys hear me crunching around over here. Okay, next question. Ask Alyssa, question about your dating app practices since I know you are using Hinge. From your perspective, do you swipe right on people who you are really, really interested in or people who you think are fairly cute enough that you could potentially be interested in? And do you pay for Hinge? I've heard you get better people coming up when you use roses and pay for it first using it for free. Just curious. Love the podcast. Okay. I try to be open-minded to people that I normally wouldn't swipe right for. So I do what you're saying and I swipe for people that I'm like, maybe they're cuter in person. Maybe they're smarter in person, whatever. And then they talk to me and then I never want to meet them because I'm like, why did I give this person the benefit of the doubt? So like, I don't know because I'm a superficial bee, I guess.
Yeah.
Not actually, but dating apps, that's all you can go off of is their pictures and their job and if they have good chat.
Yeah, I'm more like, yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll swipe on someone and then I'll be like, oh, I'll give them a chance. And then they message me. I'm like, wait, why did I ever swipe on this person? Because I feel like when you go on, it takes a lot to go on a date with someone you don't know that's from a dating app.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's going to be someone that it takes a lot for, like, it's going to have to be someone good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how I feel about
I paid for like the Bumble thing, which is weird. I don't know why I didn't pay for Hinge recently because I wanted to see who liked me. Because on Bumble, if you pay,
that's a good
you
one.
could see who likes you. So then you don't have to just swipe for hours. Which for me, I was like, this is just a time saver.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through all these losers. Let me just see who likes me and who doesn't. And then I could suss them out. And Hinge, I'm like kind of annoyed with because they put all the hot people in a section that you have to pay for to access.
Wait, is that
them.
actually true?
Yes. Talk about me being mad at everything. It's like Hinge literally puts 5 hot guys in a section and it says, do you want to give them a rose? You only get 1 rose a week, but if you want to access all the hot guys, you need to pay. So it's like they're profiling you based on how hot you are. So it makes me feel insulted because I'm not out here getting roses left and right.
Wait, I didn't realize that's the roses were the hot guys. I never look at that.
I don't look either because I'm like, I'm not buying into your bullshit that you're gatekeeping the hot, tall people.
I'm going to check the roses section later.
You'd be shocked because I always wonder why no one's great. And then every educated, tall, attractive man is in the rose section.
They're called standouts.
Yes. And honestly, it pisses me off because I'm like, Hinge, if you're listening, you better make me a standout. Like, am I not in this category? Like, I don't understand. I think it's really rude. And honestly, it's like kind of elitist. I don't understand why they haven't gotten like more blowback for this. It's honestly quite disgusting because they're like profiling people.
I just looked at my standouts.
I'm going to look at my standouts right now and give you guys a live reading.
Like, live reading. You know, they're not all hot, but they are... Okay, like, there's no weirdos on here. Except
how do I even find the rose
this
section?
Guy named Gianni with a full sleeve.
No, here's one. Paul, 6'4", 34, Notre Dame. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, here's another one. Trevor, 29, 6'4". Guys, they're all 6'4". This guy works at a bank, 36 foot, asset management. Oh, here's another one. 34, 6 foot. They're all above 6 feet.
You're right. Mine are like attractive.
31, 6'3". Now this just makes me depressed. I never look in here. 6'2", senior associate. Oh my gosh. 6 foot, 31, Boston College.
So does this mean you're going to be paying for roses now?
35, 6'2", credit at asset manager. Guys, no, because it pisses me off. I shouldn't need to pay to meet a hot guy.
Also, to me,
oh my God, 32, 6'3", analyst trading. Oh my God.
Are they hot?
They're all hot.
Like, yeah, they're good looking. But do you know what makes me uncomfortable?
6'2". Oh my God.
Do you know what makes me uncomfortable? Like the fact that you have to like send someone a rose. Like that's weird. I just want to swipe.
Also, why aren't they sending me roses? It just makes me feel like these guys aren't
you don't get
interested
roses
in me. From weirdos.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's kind of weird to just be like, here's a rose. Like that's kind of
also
weird.
Why? Like, okay, for example, Hinge gives me 1 rose, and they just gave me 10 guys that are all above 6 foot and hot. How am I supposed to choose? So I know my probability of getting chosen is slim.
Okay, but think about it. Think about it this way. If you've come across a really hot guy on Hinge, are you going to heart him or are you going to give him a rose?
Heart.
Right, because giving a rose is
but
weird.
I'm saying if I'm going in this section specifically.
Wait, can you only send roses if you're in that section?
You can only send 1 to someone in that section.
Oh, okay.
So my point is, I know my chances of getting a rose are slim because I'm one of 10 girls.
Don't put yourself down like
No, I'm not even. I'm being realistic.
No, I get what you're saying.
I'm one of 10 brunette girls in this category.
That's like they like curate based on your type.
Yes.
Probably.
Like I just got 10 guys above 6 foot between the age of 30 and 34 that work incredible jobs. So if I pick Patrick over Lewis, like I like Lewis too, but I could only give Patrick a rose. Do you get what I'm saying?
Poor Lewis. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
So, like, the chances are slim of getting one of these things.
Alyssa, don't
It's
worry.
like
I'd give you a rose.
It's like getting the first impression rose on The
yeah.
Bachelorette.
Wait, that's so true.
They're all hot, good catches, but only one could get the rose.
Yeah. You should just play a game. Message all of them. Have them come into your podcast.
Honestly, now the more I dig into this, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I need to have a word with him.
I didn't know that.
I'm really pissed. So I forget what you even asked me at this point because I've just been on a tirade. But she said, who do you think, blah, blah, blah. I heard you got better people coming up if you pay. Girl, you know how I feel. Don't pay. Fuck the system. Fuck these people for gatekeeping the hot guys. I'm rebelling against Hinge. They will never see a cent of my money.
Cancel Hinge.
Like, literally put the hot guys in the free section.
Yeah.
And I've partnered with Hinge before. They've paid me to promote content for them. You know what? I'd love for Hinge to sponsor this podcast.
Oh, they're not going to want to sponsor
you know why?
now.
No, we should partner up, and I will spread the good word about how to get roses, how to revamp your dating profile.
Spread the bad word, though.
Because maybe we could work on something together.
Yes,
Bring me in. Let me consult for you.
Get into one of their meetings.
I'm a publicist. I could help them revamp this image.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're never going to sponsor my show now. Hinge, don't worry. I still use you, but I don't like it. I don't always agree. All right. One more Ask Alyssa. Oh, this one sounds great. Hello, how are you doing today? I'm Rob. Hope you are good and nice meeting you. Your profile hits me with something. You seem relaxed and very open. If you do not mind, I would like for you to be my sugar baby. Here's my number. You could text me, hoping to hear from you very soon.
Is this your Ask Alyssa?
No, but it's in my DMs. I always get sugar baby messages.
Right back, Alyssa. Yeah.
Oh, I just don't trust it. Ask Alyssa. I'm in need of some advice. I recently met a guy at a bar about an hour from where I live. We had a great dance floor makeout where I learned he was 23 and had a mild moment of laughter/panic because I'm 28. He's hot, super nice, and seemed really into me, so I wasn't that mad about it. Anyway, we kept in touch over the next few weeks with intermittent text conversations. He'd ask me when I'd be back in town, and I knew I wanted to see him at least one more time. We met up over Halloween weekend, and he straight up drove to the bar I was at with my friends and came by himself to see me. We hung out for a bit and then ultimately went back to his place to hook up. He was affectionate and fun, and I spent the night only to then hook up again in the morning. When I needed to head back to my friends, he drove me 25 minutes back to my Airbnb, and I was shocked because how many guys are this mature and nice? While we were cuddling in bed, he asked again when he could see me again, and I don't want to give him the wrong impression because I see no prospect of a relationship with him because of our age difference and where we live. Should I keep him as a hookup friend for now and set expectations, or let him go and focus back on my actual dating apps? Okay, I'm going to be the biggest hypocrite in the entire world because if this was me, like I just said last week, a 25-year-old asked me out and I was like too young, which is basically the same age difference between you and this guy. But I'm going to tell you, just go for it. But I'm such a hypocrite because I would feel how she's feeling.
What if she catches feelings?
She's going to, but what if he's also mature? And what if, like, I always think of my friend who married her husband, who we grew up with, who's 2 years younger than us, like 2 grades younger than us. And they started dating like out of college. And in the beginning, she was like, oh, he's so young. But he never acted young. Mm-hmm. The only thing that was young about him was literally his age. To this day, they're married. He would have had kids yesterday if it was up to him. He's been the most emotionally intelligent.
But that's 2 years versus 5.
But my point is, even at 23,
right,
he was more mature than the guys I meet at 30.
Right.
Like, he's always been mature. And he's, like, from the age of 20 to 21, he's always just been that way. And, like, just a stand-up guy. And it didn't matter. So I think it depends on their maturity level. Like, for example, if I'm talking to someone and they're younger than me and they're acting younger, that's gross. If I'm not at that point.
Right.
But if he's meeting you at your maturity level and, like, emotional intelligence level, then in the scheme of things, when you're 38 and he's 32 or whatever, it's not going to matter. I think age gaps are all about the timing of the age gaps.
I think that if this guy is as immature as you might think he is because of his age, it'll start to show.
Yes.
So maybe give him the chance, and then if you start to slowly see things that make you realize, okay, this is not going to work because of this age difference, then it's time to move on.
Or just be upfront about your concerns to him. Be like, look, I really like you and I'd like to see you again, but to be honest, like, I'm a little concerned about our age differences because I'm not sure we want the same things out of life. Like, I'm 28 and, you know, I'm trying to meet the person without freaking you out to, like, I'm dating with intention of meeting someone to, like, marry or settle down with. And, like, I don't expect you at your age to feel that way too. So I just don't know if it's, like, in our best interest, but I just want to see how you feel about that. And, like, it might be awkward, but he might be like, no, like, look, like, I've always thought I'd marry someone young and, like, I'm ready. Or he might be like, yeah, you're right. Like, I just want to hook up. Like, I'm really not looking for something serious.
Yeah, and then you can decide what to do from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I agree with that.
Yep. Stand by that. Okay, guys, let's spill the tea. There are things we could talk about. You know, Kim K, Pete Davidson. There are other things going on in the media, but the biggest thing, obviously, is this entire Travis Scott situation with Astroworld, and it's a doozy. Let me kind of get you guys up to speed on what happened to the best of my knowledge. Nothing that I'm about to say is necessarily fact checked, so please look into resources because I'm just going off of what I read and my shitty memory, which isn't always that great. So Travis Scott hosted a festival, Astroworld. He's done this many times, and I think 50,000 people, about that many, were in attendance. And Travis Scott has been known in the past for inciting, like, violence and telling his concert goers and fans to riot and to push to the front and push through security and jump off things and make a ruckus. And he's actually been arrested twice in the past for, like, creating riot-like culture at his concerts. So, cut to Astroworld, 50,000 people are there. Things become very hectic and everyone starts kind of pushing towards the front of the stage. And what tragically ends up happening is that people are getting trampled and suffocated to death. People were going into cardiac arrest. There's rumors that people were potentially stabbing people with needles. Not sure what was in the needles. Again, that's alleged. And I think to date, I just saw a TikTok saying to date, 11 people have been pronounced dead from this concert as a result of it, with hundreds of others dealing with injuries. And the fact of the matter is, I do think Travis Scott is partially to blame here. I really do.
I agree.
I think, first of all, okay, let me explain my thoughts. I'm, like, trying to think how to articulate this. Do I think when he was on stage and bright lights are in his face, he necessarily knew the extent of what was happening? No. I think if he knew people were dead, he would stop. Do I think we see videos of him seeing people passed out? Do I think he knew people passed out? Yes, because we've seen that. People do pass out at festivals because, you know, people that go to festivals, there's drug use involved and there's whatever involved. I still think he should have taken that way more seriously. That said, regardless of what he knew or what he could or couldn't see, he is known for creating this environment at his shows. And as someone that's influential, he has the power to not, like, to stop this from happening. And the show was understaffed. It was a huge hazard. People couldn't get through. I think a 14-year-old boy was among those dead. Like, it is so tragic and so sad. Like, you shouldn't have to go to a concert and be worried about suffocating to death. Like, it is so scary what took place.
Did you see the videos in the beginning of the concert? People trampling through security and just sprinting in?
Yep.
That's when the show should have been canceled.
Well, that's when apparently he said, I saw footage from prior concerts saying, everyone on the mic, stample through the security, break down the gates. Like, That's why I think he's at fault.
Yeah, but regardless of that, like, whether or not it's his fault for this specific thing, like, it is so not okay for tons of people to trample through security. That, number one, causes more people than are allotted for that. Like,
Yes.
people could have trampled in that
Also,
don't have
it
tickets.
makes me feel like really sad for security.
Yeah.
Because like they're trying to do their job and they're there to protect, but he's telling people to basically revolt against them.
I saw videos of the security, though, barely doing their job. Like, barely, like, feeling people for whatever it may be. And that there was, like, rumors about someone in the crowd injecting people. I have no trouble believing that because it was so easy for people to get through without even being checked. It could have been much worse. Think about
like a pit in my chest.
Same. Like, think about how there could have been like a shooter because no one was being checked. You could have run in with a gun.
Yeah, because people were running past security.
Yeah,
that's really scary. The whole thing, yeah. Someone goes like stabbing people. Like, you don't even know. Like, it's so crazy to me that this whole thing happened, and then his apology after was just kind of like,
sorry for what happened. We feel horrible.
Yeah.
No, like, take more accountability.
Okay, what really got me last night, I was in bed on TikTok and someone posted a video of Adele.
I saw that.
At her concert where someone passed out and she was literally in the middle of singing like Rolling in the Deep, her biggest song. And all of a sudden she's like, guys, we gotta stop. And like the music shuts off and she's like, someone passed out. Like we need someone over there right now. And like no one's doing anything. She's pointing and she's like, I need you over there now. Like, is no one listening to me? Someone's passed out. And she like literally stopped her whole show, made sure the person got taken care of. And there's footage of Travis Scott performing and there's like limp bodies being crowd surfed to the front of the crowd because people couldn't get through to get the bodies.
Yeah.
Like, ew, it's chilling. It's honestly chilling.
He did do that at one point. He saw someone that needed help and he did say like, oh, someone
passed out.
Yeah, someone passed out. Like, we need to get help. But that just goes to show he should just halt for a second and be like, is everyone okay?
And there was like stop the show chants and like,
yeah, and there was like ambulance everywhere. If you see an ambulance,
but the ambulance couldn't get through. That's the fucking problem.
Yeah, but if you see an ambulance, a crowd, like, there's no way he didn't. There's flashing lights in the middle of a crowd. Stop the goddamn show.
The whole thing is just really like mind blowing. Like,
there's so many videos on TikTok and there's so many different like accounts of what happened, and it's just devastating.
It's really sad. Like, it's really sad that people went to a concert and this was their fate. Like,
yeah, and now people have to be afraid to go to concerts. No one's going to go to festivals anymore.
It honestly freaked me out. Like, it's really scary. Like, you think you're doing something pretty harmless.
Yeah.
And you don't think going to a concert's life or death.
I think there's so many ways that this could have been prevented, and it does put, unfortunately, it does put Travis Scott at fault.
I think so too, but I'm curious how he will be held accountable. Like, I'm sure the victims will try to sue him. The victims' parents.
They are suing him.
Yeah.
He's already like being sued. So
and keep in mind, guys, Kylie Jenner's currently pregnant with his child.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
So like, she's probably under so much stress.
Yeah. Did you see her take
her
on
apology at least took more accountability than him.
Yeah.
Not accountability, that's the wrong word. She at least addressed more of the issue than his was just like, I'm sorry. Like, hers was like, I feel awful, blah, blah, blah. I don't think she has any part of it, to be honest.
She did say, obviously, if we knew what was happening, we would have done something about it.
I like to believe that because I can't imagine people would be that cruel that they could know and not do something.
Well, I believe that obviously
they didn't know the extent.
Yeah, if Travis Scott knew people were dying,
yeah, I would like to think
he would have done something more. However, he still prompted this behavior.
Yes, that's how I feel.
Was ignorant to what could happen, and now he knows. And unfortunately,
it
had to take 11 deaths. Yeah, he learned a very hard way, and it's truly unfortunate. And honestly, like,
ooh, I have the chills.
Yeah, I can't even.
It's just like disgusting, really.
Yeah.
So if you guys were there, if you know friends that were there, if you lost a friend, if you're one of the families, my deepest condolences. I just think this is really just one of those like tragic things that are just, it's absolutely mind blowing. So I did want to touch on that today, but I want to thank you guys for listening this week. And yeah, we'll talk next week. See ya.